Hi, everybody. Welcome to Making Inferences Part 2. So we are going to continue reading our story. It was just getting good and exciting, and we're going to make some inferences along the way. So before we do that, I always just like to go over the presentation of everything on Schoology, and then I will talk more about the assignments themselves. So the first thing, like I said, everything is numbered in order of how you should do them. So you probably already looked at 1 and did 2. If you are on number 3 in the video, you have it playing right now, but I'm still going to go over it anyway. So the first thing that you always want to do is click on number 1, your SOLs and learning targets, because that lets you know the expectation, lets you know what you should be doing by the end of class. We have a discussion post under number 2. Can a person ever be free of guilt? So I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about that. We have our explain section, and this is where I'm going to go over making inferences and drawing conclusions. We went over it yesterday, so this is like the fast-tracked version. And then we're going to read the rest of Lamb to the Slaughter on Common Lit. And once again, that link is in there. I always attach a PDF in case somebody is having any problems getting on Common Lit, but I haven't really seen anybody have any problems, so everybody should be in the Common Lit document. We're going to have a class discussion. So in addition to answering the guided reading questions, in which you will have to infer along the way, I'm also going to have some questions of my own. And then we are going to, or should I say you, are going to complete assignment number 6, which is the apply, making inferences, and drawing conclusions in Lamb to the Slaughter. So we're actually going to look at some excerpts from the text and make some inferences. And then you are going to take a quiz, but you may not finish the quiz, and that's fine. I've also allotted time for that tomorrow. So no homework tonight in case you don't finish anything from numbers 1 through 6 today. All right, so let's go ahead and look at everything in more detail. Okay, so making inferences and drawing conclusions, part 2. Our learning target, I can make inferences and draw conclusions using text evidence. So the first thing I want you to do is answer or click on the discussion number 2, can a person ever be free of guilt? That's not the question that you're answering. However, if you really cannot explain the meaning of the quote, then you can answer that question. But the quote says, no guilt is forgotten so long as the conscience still knows of it. So in a discussion post, I want you to explain the meaning of this quote and provide an example. So no guilt is forgotten so long as the conscience or mind still knows of it. So what do you think that means? And you can go ahead and pause it at this point. Otherwise, I'm just going to go ahead and move forward. All right, so here's our inference equation. It says plus I say equals so. So it says, we're looking at the text, plus I say, that's your prior knowledge, equals your inference, the so part of it. And let's just really see what that looks like. So what I read, or the it says, that's going to be what does the text say? Is there evidence or a quote or a line that you can reference for later? Plus what I know. That's I say. What connections do you make to what you read? Do you have any background knowledge or experience with this? Equals so. And that's what I infer. So what conclusions can you draw based on what you read and what you know? What do you think is happening in that story? All right, so remember we said that making inferences and drawing conclusions are similar skills. because they require you to fill in the blanks that the author has left out. So most of the time, they don't just flat out tell us the information. We have to infer and draw conclusions to dig deeper into the meaning of the text. So how do you make an inference or draw conclusions? You want to observe all the facts, arguments, and information given by the author. So you want to really look at it. You want to consider what you already know from your own experiences. So maybe you've experienced something similar, or maybe you've seen somebody experience something similar. And you want to determine what information is true or false based on the information in the passage, especially when you have multiple choice answers, which you will have some of those today. So you're gonna have to use those detective skills. All right, so let's look at this teacher model. Anastasia sat by the fountain in the park with her head in her palms. She was weeping mournfully and looking disheveled. In between gasps and sobs, Anastasia cried out a name, John! And then her cell phone beeped. Her hand ran into her purse and her heart fluttered. The text message was from John. She opened up the message and read the few bare words, I need to get my jacket back and the bracelet I gave you. Anastasia threw her head into her arms and continued sobbing. So let's make some inferences. What relationship do John and Anastasia have? So just looking at what's going on, she's crying. She calls out John's name. As soon as she heard the beep from her text message, her hand ran into her purse. So she quickly puts her hand in that purse, and it says that her heart fluttered. So I have to infer that at some point, probably up until recently, that they had a romantic relationship, that John was her boyfriend. And I've just given you the relationship and the how do you know all in one. So I gave you the evidence that told you how I came up with that. So why is Anastasia sad? She's sad because obviously John has dumped her. When she reaches to get that text message, it's not really what she was expecting. He said that he needs his stuff back. He wants his jacket. He wants the bracelet that he gave her. How awful is that? But so she's sad because he dumped her. All right, so let's take a look at this one. One of the rarest animals in the world is the okapi. They live in the rainforest in Central Africa. Few people have seen one alive. Every few years, someone claims to see one, but they never have proof. A few years ago, some scientists who were studying plants found a skeleton, teeth, and some skin in a remote area of the rainforest. They were excited as they believed they had found the remains of a rare okapi. They drew a picture of what they thought the animal might have looked like when it was alive. The scientists then sent the picture, along with the skeleton, teeth, and skin, to a scientific institution in Dallas, Texas. So what did the scientists probably do with the skeleton, teeth, and bones? Or skin, remains? What did they do? Did they A, send them to a place with more experienced scientists, B, keep them for souvenirs, C, studied them carefully and compared them to other animals, or D, sold them to museums that displayed them? So is your choice A, B, C, or D? What do you think? If you said C, you are absolutely correct. So they studied them carefully and compared them to other animals. How do we know this? We know this because they were excited that they thought they had the remains. They were trying to reconstruct by drawing a picture of what they thought the animal might have looked like. So they are going to go ahead and send them to those other scientists to have it studied more carefully and compared to other animals, just to make sure that that's what they found, right? All right. So go ahead and take a look at this one. Kyle ran into his house, slamming the door behind him. He threw his book bag on the floor and plopped onto the couch. After 6 hours of playing Grand Larceny 7, he ate some pizza and fell asleep with a slice on his stomach and his feet on his book bag. When Kyle came home from school the next day, he was noticeably distraught. He balled up his report card and placed it inside a soup can in the garbage. He then flipped the soup can upside down in the garbage can and arranged loose pieces of trash over it. As he plopped down on the couch, he let out a sigh and picked up his controller. So, why is Kyle distraught? I also want you to think about, how do you know he's distraught? Why does he put the report card in the soup can? Was his report card good or bad, and why? Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about why Kyle is distraught. So if we go back and take a look at the text evidence, it says that he balled up his report card and then he placed it in the garbage. So I have to use that information and infer that Kyle got a grade that wasn't so good. Okay, so the how do I know is just what I said. He was distraught. He balled up that report card and he put it in that soup can, threw it in the garbage. Okay, so why does he put the report card in a soup can? So the author definitely doesn't tell us that, but we can use our inferencing skills to determine why. And some of us may have been there. You have that grade or that report card and it's not that good. And the last thing you want to do is show mom and dad, because they're going to punish you and you are going to be in trouble. So he's hoping to get rid of that evidence. That's why he puts it in the soup can and then he puts it down in the trash and tries to put other trash around it. He is trying to hide it. He doesn't want anybody to see it. So was his report card good or bad, and why? I mean, obviously it was bad. I feel like when you have a good report card, you can't wait to show that thing off. You want to show your friends, you want to show your family, you want to let everybody know that you got some wonderful grades. The fact that he's crumpling it, hiding it, it's bad. Why is it bad? Well, Kyle is sitting around playing video games when he should be getting his work done. It says he had played 6 hours of Grand Larceny 7. It said he threw his book bag on the floor and plopped onto the couch to play those games. So he just tossed his book bag and didn't even think about what assignments he had. And then even after all that, he doesn't learn from what happened. He still goes, plops down on the couch, and picks up the controller. So his report card is bad because he's playing games way too much when he should be studying. I hope none of you are doing that. All right, so remember some strategies. You want to read the whole passage. You want to highlight to answer the question. So any text that hints at an answer or helps you think about the question, you want to highlight that. You want to eliminate any answers that absolutely can't be correct. Like you look at them and you're like, I know that's wrong. You want to justify what's left and look for the best answer. Sometimes there's more than one answer that could possibly be true, but you want to look at that text and you want to select the best answer based on the evidence that you have in that text. When you run across tough vocabulary, like we ran across the word distraught is sticking out in my mind or in my head. You want to use your word association skills and take a strong guess. When I think about distraught, I think about distress. When I think about somebody being distressed, I think about them being upset. So I'm able to figure out that distraught means very upset. Okay, so we're going to finish reading Lamb to the Slaughter. So I want you to go ahead and access the story on Common Lit, and you do have the link that you can click on under assignment number 4, and it will take you right back to the story. As you read, you're going to answer those inference and comprehension questions along the way because you have to. It's not going to let you move on to the next set of text until you answer the guided reading questions. We will also discuss the text as a class. So I'm going to have you tell me about what you read, and then we will make further inferences and draw further conclusions based on that text evidence. Okay. So now, after you have read the text and answered the guided reading questions, it's time for you to do number 6, apply and make some inferences and draw conclusions in Lamb to the Slaughter. So I have some excerpts, and you are going to read each excerpt and answer the questions that follow. So make sure you follow all directions. Oh, let me go back because I don't want you to lose any points. So you need to follow all directions, and you need to fully explain your answers. And let's look at the assignment so we can talk about it. So when you pull up the assignment, this is what it looks like. Let's do a quick scan. As you look at it, there are only 3 sections, so 3 excerpts. And then there are some questions and things to do that follow each. So the first one is a multiple choice question. You will need to highlight your answer. So it says, what inference do paragraphs 2 through 3 support? Highlight your answer. So up here is where you could take a look at paragraphs 2 through 3. And whatever inference you feel it supports, simply highlight it to let me know. But you're not done there. So number 2 says highlight evidence from the text to support the inference you selected in question 1. So once you've selected your inference, whatever it may be, you need to go back to the text and you need to highlight the clues that led you to the answer in number 1. So what from the text lets you know that your answer for number 1 is correct? Highlight it. And then number 3, this is where you explain how the evidence that you highlighted, so how that text evidence supports or proves the answer selected in number 1. So I'm not looking for you to just list your highlighted words under number 3. I want you to look at your answer for number 1. I want you to look at the evidence that you highlighted in the text. And then number 3, I want you to explain how that evidence supports or proves your answer for number 1. So you need to give me a good explanation. You need to prove it to me, sell me on it. All right, and there are 3 of them, and they're all set up the same. So they start with the multiple choice, then you highlight your evidence, then you explain your evidence, and that will be the same for all 3. All right, guys. So after you finish with that, let me go ahead and, so after you finish with that, you're going to take the quiz, which is the assessment questions on Common Lit. So it says complete the assessment questions for Lamb to the Slaughter on Common Lit. If you do not get to that today, it's fine. I don't expect you to do it for homework. I have I can make sure that we have some time to complete it tomorrow. Okay? All right. So thank you for tuning in for Making Inferences and Drawing Conclusions Part 2. And that's it for today. So I hope you guys have a great day. Bye.